Hello and welcome back to the Funfiltered podcast. I am Sam, and I am joined as infinitely ever by Jordan.
Hey, does that mean I can stay? It's stuck with me forever.
I've got a cold brewing. I haven't got any fight left in me.
Yeah, but the cold will be gone one day.
Doesn't feel like that.
No, it never does.
No. Coming up.
I provide an update on a story that was casually mentioned over 2 years ago regarding Mick Gordon.
We recount our mutual top 10 TV opening title sequences for your listening pleasure.
Sam bought a DVD player that had a random disc in it. We talk about what's on it.
The final Sam's Lexicorner of the year is good.
And we review Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Y Bombay.
Y Bombay. Y Bombay.
So you have some news that you want to share?
Yes, I do.
Hit me with your news stick. Ooh.
I'm not doing that again.
That was more solid than I expected. Good for you.
That's some firm news you've got there.
Turgid.
Some turgid news coming your way. Right. You remember...
no, not much.
Okay. Well, do you remember episode 30?
Of course I don't.
Of the Funfiltered podcast.
No.
Do you remember how long ago it was? No, actually, forget how long ago it was. Do you remember what it was called?
No, I don't remember. I remember like the first 5 or 6.
Okay.
And I thought, oh yeah, like, this is a fun thing. I'm going to remember all of these.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, I haven't got a clue. I don't know what the last one was called.
No.
What was the last one called? It's all about the clap.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you remember that one.
Before that, no.
Don't know what the one before
Nothing.
that was.
I got nothing.
There was like 3 in a row that were called the.
Nope.
They started with the word the.
Nope. Nothing.
Okay.
Episode 30. No, what was episode 30 called?
It was called Everything Now Is Just Ephemeral.
Sure. Okay.
And it was released...
Well, the fact that we can't remember it is testament to that.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Just proves the point, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was released 23rd of August, 2020.
Okay.
So we're
not Mike Flanagan, are we?
No. We've done 35 episodes since, and it's been nearly, 2-3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this year we've only done, 8 episodes, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember when we got on this consistent schedule. What was it, 4 episodes ago?
Yeah, 60.
Like
there was a break between 59 and 60, and then from 61 onwards, I think we were consistent.
Yes, okay. Well, hopefully more next year.
Yeah, this is all shop talk.
It's all shop talk. You don't need
unnecessary shop talk. So yeah, that episode came out in 2020, August 2020, and it was called Everything Now Is Just Ephemeral. Go listen. Eddie was on that one.
Was he?
Yeah. So,
speaking of everything being ephemeral.
Yeah, it's a totally different experience. Yeah. The reason I bring it up is because there was a segment which wasn't even planned. I went back and listened to it. It was just a tangent, but I mentioned that Mick Gordon, who was the composer for the Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal soundtrack, there had been some sort of a kerfuffle surrounding the official soundtrack for Doom.
Right.
People were who ordered the collector's edition were getting their versions of the soundtrack finally shipped to them because there'd been a delay. And they were noticing that the quality it wasn't up to standard, basically. And so people were asking questions, and Mick Gordon was going, oh yeah, I wouldn't have done it like that. It's weird that it's like that. And people were sort of I don't know how it came about, but I think people ended up asking the question, "Oh, would you work with it again in the future?" The company that made Doom. And he went, "Oh no, probably not."
Right. And
that prompted a response from the executive producer for Doom Eternal, one of the higher ups at id Entertainment. He posted an open letter.
Was it id Entertainment?
id Entertainment.
Right, okay.
Yeah, id as in
the psychological.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
On Reddit of all places, he posted a little open letter to the fans. Basically, went, "Hey, so." Seems to be all this weird confusion and whatnot surrounding the OST at the moment.
Yeah.
Just wanted to tell you the whole story and be open and transparent with you. And yeah, basically in that little post that he did, he kind of basically said, I'm surprised that Mick Gordon is sort of handling things the way he is at the moment with the soundtrack, sort of saying oh yeah, it's not up to standard, and yeah, it wasn't done in time and all this kind of stuff. And which he said, there's no disputing his talent. It's clear that, I think I've got the quote written down actually.
But I'm disputing his opinion, the fucking cunt.
Yeah, he just kind of said that they confirmed that they were parting ways with him, even though there was DLC for Doom in the works. They said, yeah, he's not going to be doing the music for that. While we're not disputing his talent, and I think this is the quote here, id and Mick Gordon, that's the little bit that's in the square brackets before the quote.
Mm-hmm.
And then the actual quote is, struggled to connect on some of the more production-related realities of development, whilst communication around those issues have eroded trust. For id, this has created an unstable pattern of project uncertainty and risk.
Right.
And so the rest of the statement was basically them saying, kind of outlining, like, this is sort of the timeline. We were giving Mick Gordon, like, extensions, and we were accommodating for him, and he was just not meeting the deadlines. He was not meeting the extended deadlines. You know, we were making all of these accommodations, and it felt like he was taking advantage a little bit. And when he was finally delivering us work, work that it wasn't even the amount of work we'd initially agreed upon, we actually reduced the amount of work that he had, and even then it was, like, substandard.
Okay.
Because, yeah, Mick Gordon was saying that... I'm sorry. I'm going to be saying Mick Gordon a lot during this segment, so I might truncate it a little bit.
Well, just say Gordon.
Okay, Gordon. Well, that's not his name.
You don't know Mick. No, it's his surname.
But he's not called Gordon.
But it's like a Nolan film, isn't it? That's how people... That's generally how you talk
About
Nolan,
it's like,
oh, yes,
know. That's the last name. Nolan. Gordon is a... You call a person Gordon.
I don't think you can't impose that on it. I mean, it doesn't start with your weird rules.
It's not a weird rule. Gordon is a first name.
It is,
it's a known, recognised first name.
There are loads of surnames that are also first names.
Yeah.
So you're just never going to do that.
I'm not never going to do it. It's just in this situation I elected not to.
Okay.
Well, and I can't say Mick. I would be criticised so early.
I will not accept Mick. You don't know the man. Okay? So it's either Mick Gordon, Mr. Gordon, or Gordon. Okay.
Your Gordon ship.
Yeah, exactly.
So they said, like, he was saying on social media, I only mixed a certain amount of tracks, the best tracks, the ones that are not so good, I didn't touch those, and it was going, you kind of did.
Right.
And the reason that I like I said, it was brought up as like a tangent on the initial episode, but it was kind of, I ended up framing it as, what's interesting about this is you don't often hear stories from within the industry of the artist being the problem. And it seemed like that's the direction that it was going in.
Yeah.
Mick Gordon was sort of saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mick Gordon was saying, working with it has been very difficult and it's not produced the results that we wanted and blah, 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 blah. And then it came back and said, no, we tried our best.
Right.
And a lot of people just kind of like accepted it, myself included. I mean, I reported on it as news. I think because it have always had a good relationship with their fans, they've always been open and honest, and it's clear that when making and marketing their games, it's clear that they have fans in mind. Like, they're often catering towards... It feels like they're trying to create an experience that best suits people who are already familiar with those types of games.
Yes.
Like, a lot of the DLC that they've released for Doom is incredibly difficult.
It's not Call of Duty.
It's not Call of Duty, no. It's for people who play first-person shooters and who are intimately familiar with them. And they're very transparent in their marketing, usually. So I think that's why they garnered a lot of trust. And it was posted on Reddit as well, not through official channels. So I think it was like, I'm coming directly to the community here. No bullshit, this is me talking to you now. So that was in 2020.
Oh, right, okay.
That all happened in 2020.
Right, okay.
This is now 2022.
Did we cover that in 2020?
Briefly,
okay.
Yeah, it was.
We didn't just repeat everything that was said.
No, I kind of like embellished it a little bit.
Okay.
Because at the time, I was going to talk about something else, and then Eddie was like, "Oh, you're not going to talk about Doom again, are you?" And I think I did out of spite.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
But also, it was a story that I'd heard. It was like, "Oh, this is actually kind of interesting. The artist is the problem this time, isn't that?"
Yes.
Weird? I'm bringing it up now because November 9th this year, so just recently.
Yes. Well, not according to the listener.
Not according to the listener, but according to us, multiple days ago.
Yes.
But like not many days ago.
It's like 5 days ago.
Like 5 days ago. Mick Gordon issued a rebuttal.
Okay. I'm all for if you're angry, you type out the message and then leave it there. It usually doesn't take 2 years to decide. Yeah.
Well, okay, so like the statement that he released, it has the air of like a this was my last resort,
right,
kind of thing.
Okay.
It's clear from like reading through the document, and it's like I said, the original thing was posted on Reddit. It was like a 2,500 word post talking to the fans. What Mick Gordon has posted is a 14,500 word article.
Okay.
With pictures and evidence and screenshots of email chains and legal documents.
Right.
A full-blown...
Okay.
Like, defense.
Right.
Because he's basically like, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
I've tried everything, and this has had an adverse effect on my personal and professional reputation.
Right.
A lot of people... Because the other thing to note as well, like, tied up within that Reddit thing, the guy that ended up doing the majority of the work for the OST was like an internal sound engineer at id Software.
Yeah.
And because a lot of like the shoddy work was being placed on him, he was receiving a lot of criticism. So part of the open letter was basically saying, look, this is having an effect on the reputation of our staff and the well-being of our staff. This is why we're kind of stepping in to make this statement now.
Right.
And Mick Gordon's come back and gone, no, that's all bullshit.
Right, okay.
This was just an attack on me. The whole thing is fabricated, basically. Okay. Here's fucking proof.
Right. So what does the proof suggest?
The proof suggests that he was initially contracted only to do the in-game music. He was not contracted to do the OST, which is different.
Okay.
Especially in Doom's case, because Doom, the music is composed to be reactive and dynamic. So it depends on what the player's doing, whether the music becomes more intense or less intense. So if you're doing an official soundtrack, all the music basically needs to be recomposed.
Yeah.
Because in-game, it's just a bunch of loops that get called in at certain times.
Yeah, it's cues, yeah.
It's musical cues, whereas on an official soundtrack, it needs a structure.
It needs to be score, yeah.
And also, it's lossless audio, whereas a lot of the in-game audio is compressed, and obviously to keep the memory down.
Yeah.
So it's not going to sound that good when you're playing it through like a vinyl or a CD or whatever. He was never initially contracted to do the original soundtrack. He was given the contract to do the official soundtrack 2 days before the game released.
Right. Okay.
It was announced that he was doing it 9 months prior.
Right.
And he hadn't even been asked before it was announced.
Okay.
They just announced publicly, hey, as part of the collector's edition for Doom Eternal, where you pay a load of extra money to get a load of extra shit, you also get an official soundtrack mixed by Mick Gordon.
Right. Okay.
And he's like, they didn't even fucking ask me at this point.
Right. He heard about it though, right?
Through the media.
Yeah, but he had 9 months is the point.
He had 9 months.
But with no contract.
Yeah, they dragged their feet, basically.
Okay.
So he wasn't able to do anything for 6 months. The guy that ended up being brought in last minute to do a lot of the soundtrack, turns out he'd been working on it during that 9 month period where Mick wasn't doing anything. So whereas it had said, oh, this guy had to come in last minute and kind of scramble everything together, no, he'd been working on it for months.
Right.
And Mick had never been informed. Mick Gordon, I'm sorry.
Well, you don't know him, do you? He's not your mate.
Well, I feel like I do now.
He sounds unpleasant.
What? Mick Gordon?
No, carry on.
No, so he'd never been like told about it or asked for the original files, whereas they made it out, oh, like this sound designer had to come in last minute, scramble everything together, using only the samples we had. We couldn't get anything from Mick Gordon. He was initially contracted to do 120 minutes of music. They ended up using 240 minutes of music, a lot of which was comprised of samples and demos and music that they outright rejected.
Okay.
That was never intended for public consumption, but they used it in like the marketing and the official game.
Right.
And yet, despite that, because it wasn't part of the original scope, they've just not paid him for the music.
Okay.
So there's 2 hours worth of music that is now being actively used to promote and sell the game.
Yeah.
That he's just not been paid for.
Okay.
And what he has been paid was paid months after the initial agreement.
Yeah.
And also this Reddit post, it turns out, was posted days after he'd had a meeting with the guy who posted it, where they basically agreed that they were going to release a joint statement to fans, basically explaining the situation and what happened. And id Software had asked Mick Gordon, look, don't say anything on social media, basically go dark. We'll send you a draft tomorrow morning, we can go through it, we'll prepare the statement, we'll release it, so that we're all kind of like...
on the same page.
We're all on the same page.
Yeah.
And he went, yes. And the next thing he knew, this Reddit post went up.
Right, okay.
And there's just been loads of like... He's basically been battling with lawyers for the past 2 years. And I get the impression that like, even though he probably hasn't been composing this article for the past 2 years, but he's clearly spent a lot of time on it because it is comprehensive.
Well, 14,000, I think a novel is 30,000.
Yeah.
So he's written a novella, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. It's an hour read. There's a glossary. There's a table of contents. There's a TLDR section.
Right.
I went through a lot of it. I didn't read the whole thing.
Okay.
But like in the TLDR, that's the stuff that he highlights. It's I haven't been paid for half of the work I've done. They said we'll do a joint statement, and then they released a statement without me, in which they blatantly lied about me, and then they offered me a 6-figure settlement to basically never mention it again.
Yes.
And I think they came to an agreement at one point where he was going to like do like an improved version of the official soundtrack, because the official soundtrack still isn't available.
Okay.
It's all tied up in this chip, basically. He's like, I'll do a better version of the official soundtrack. We'll let bygones be bygones just to finish this project. But you have to take down that Reddit post. And like the company lawyers were like, oh no, it'll make Marty look bad.
Right.
It'll make the guy who made the post, it'll make him look bad. Even though if you now go on Reddit, what initially all the comments were like, this is a terrible situation, but I understand, you know, you need to do what you need to do.
Now it's die, Marty, die.
Yeah, it's literally fuck you, Marty, you fucking scumbag.
A producer called Marty as well.
Yeah, Marty Stratton or something.
Okay.
Or Stratton. I've got it written down somewhere.
Yeah.
Stratton.
Marty Stratton.
Marty Stratton.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like the story needed an update.
Well, what's the upshot of it for you?
Well, the upshot of it is, in this situation, no, the artist wasn't in the wrong.
Sure. The things I'm sure things like this happen all the time.
Yeah. There were like certain aspects of the letter where I just thought, like, I don't know. I'm not a composer, and I also don't work in the gaming industry. But there were certain aspects of it where I thought, I think that's just how it works.
Right.
Like he said that it was difficult working with id anyway, because they were asking him to compose this reactive soundtrack. And a lot of the game was still in like the development stage. So there wasn't even any like test gameplay that he could play. It was literally just concept art drawings and sculptures and models and everything.
Yes.
But I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Oh, yeah.
Like
always different stages of the process. Like composing come in before there's a film, or like when the whole thing's been shot. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've been playing Sonic Frontiers has come out recently. I've been playing that over the past week. That has a soundtrack.
Endlessly?
I've been playing it a lot. I've mentioned it. It's funny. I've mentioned it a couple of times to you, and it's miraculously not appeared on the podcast itinerary.
Well, why? You didn't ask for it to be.
No, but I thought, like, the only thing I've been doing... What are we going to talk about on the podcast? The only thing I've been doing is playing Sonic Frontiers, and then just, like, silence.
Well, we don't do game reviews, do we?
I do. I could.
But we don't.
But I could.
But we don't, do we?
I could talk about something that I want to talk about on podcasts that I'm a part of, you know?
What do we talk about that you don't want to talk about?
Some things, maybe.
Like what?
I'm sure there's something.
The difference is, this is shop talk, isn't it? You can watch a TV show or a film. I can't play the game.
You could if you wanted.
I can't. I don't have the
Put the effort in.
I don't have the console to play it.
No.
I presume it's not on PS2.
Oh, no. No, we're past that.
Yeah.
The only point I was going to make with that is that has like a massive soundtrack, and it has like a 7-disc soundtrack or something.
It's had middling reviews, hasn't it?
It's like 7.5.
Okay.
Which is exactly where I'd put it, pretty much.
Okay.
But that has a massive soundtrack. And they released like musical documentaries about that, and the main composer was saying it was weird that like a couple of months before the game came out and I was like polishing the OST, I was like touching up tracks that I composed like 4 years ago. Yeah. Because I'd been there through the whole process.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that kind of stuff where he's like, oh, I was composing for stuff that didn't exist yet. I feel like that's the
standard
case.
Practice, yeah.
But then there's other stuff like not getting paid for 10 months and crunch and being lied to and not getting contracts until 2 days before the product is expected. Well, that's all not okay.
Yeah. It has an ego.
Oh, there you go.
Well, the thing is, it's like, obviously it looks like the company is the ones very much in the wrong.
Yeah.
But he drew first blood in terms of airing the dirty laundry in public, right?
Like, kind of.
Well, he basically criticised the music, yeah?
Well, the fans criticised the music.
And he was like, yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, see, I don't know, like, that was unprofessional. I know they behaved very unprofessionally towards him.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think...
And I think at that time he knew that he wasn't going to be working with them again.
Okay.
So for him, there was no love lost, really.
No love lost, but I don't know, I just... How do you feel about that? About... As a general rule, say we stopped doing this and it was bought out by someone, and someone else did it, and someone said, what do you think of the Funfiltered podcast now, in a public context?
Yeah.
I would just go, I'm not involved, I have no opinion.
Yeah.
I would never go, oh, it's fucking shit now. I don't know, that just feels like it's the wrong thing to do. Yeah. Wrong thing for them to do as well. Like, if I mean, they're the monolith. If a satellite that they hire says something negative, then that's par for the course. Going, all right. Yeah. There's no need to go, well, fine, if you're firing the first shot, you're a cunt. Like they should have just kept their mouth shut as well. Yeah. None of this should have been a thing, period, I think. No. But I don't want this to become like the
Funfiltered, ongoing, like...
id wars.
Yeah, we keep trying. We have, like, weekly segments on this.
Yeah.
I'm literally bringing it up because when I left this story alone 2 years ago...
Yeah.
I'd sort of said, it seems like he's the one in the wrong. He's clearly not the one in the wrong.
Dangling participle that you wanted.
Or at the very least, like, it looks like... Because at both the beginning and the end of the document, he uses the phrase, like, all other action has been taken. I am now exercising the right to defend myself. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether that's a declaration of legal action.
Right.
Lawyers have already been involved.
Mm-hmm.
So... I don't know whether this is going to spiral into, like, a legal proceeding now, or whether this is going to evolve past this. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of be like, no, like, it seems like he's all right. The company is in the wrong. There you go.
I think our listeners can now rest easy knowing your position on it. No, it's funny because it's like, I don't know if I've brought it up on the podcast before, but something that I tend to say to people is, say someone goes through a breakup.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, maybe I should just meet them one more time and kind of get the closure. And the thing I say is, don't mistake a badly tied end for a loose one. Mm. And so I love that you're so steadfast that you considered that a loose end that needed to be readdressed from like episode 30. I'm not criticising.
No,
I
would say this is a loose end. There is stuff that
from episode 30. But that's what I'm saying. I'm sure there are hundreds of things we've all brought up and gone, oh, we'll come back to that. I'm sure we'll review that.
No, absolutely. And there are segments that we've done on this podcast that I would absolutely love to have another crack at.
Okay.
But this genuinely did feel like, no, if you were just going through the canon of Funfiltered, we got it wrong.
No one's doing that.
You know?
Okay.
Well, we didn't get it wrong.
Whoa, we're dragging me into this. You got it wrong.
I didn't get it wrong. I got it right at the time.
Okay.
But I haven't made the necessary corrections. I now have.
Okay. Well, you got it wrong at the time. You just didn't know you were getting it wrong.
No, but a lot of people did.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's unique to you.
No, yeah.
But you were always wrong. That's the important thing.
It turns out. I was wrong about it, yeah.
Was there anything else that you wanted to say about, as I've got down on my notes, Mark Gordon?
so little matter to you, yeah. It's funny as well, because like going back to that original segment, you and Eddie are clearly not listening to me.
Well, because you did it out of spite, you've said it. So
no, because I went like, oh, I'm going to tell you something now.
Yeah.
And you went, okay. And then you and Eddie are just like talking over me, so it's clearly like you're not listening at all.
One of the things I miss about Eddie is when you talked about games, he was also interested in games.
Yeah.
Not to the same level, but he was. I could just disengage. Like, okay, I don't really need to get involved here.
But you missed the point. It's like the reason is that I wanted to bring you into it. And I would always...
No, I know, I get that.
I would always try and like talk about it. If it's not necessarily a story that would interest you, then I always try and frame it as something that could lead to a bigger discussion.
I know.
Hence me saying, hey, isn't it like interesting that the artist is in the wrong?
Yes, and that is the thing I find... Well, the thing I find interesting about it is none of it needn't have happened at all.
Yeah.
To me, it's like a lesson in industry ethics. It's like,
definitely.
Just don't criticise your paymaster. Don't sling mud at your payee.
Yeah.
Just don't do any of that. Like, there's a decorum that you should maintain.
Yeah. No, this should have been like, they went quiet on the issue. No one really said anything about it. And then a couple of years down the line, we found out that, all this legal stuff happened. It's now been resolved.
Yeah, or like, we recently watched an interview with John Wells, who worked on The West Wing. And he was kind of spilling some of the tea, as they say, about what went on in the season 4, season 5 period.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure at the time, we didn't really know much about what happened there. And that's where it should be. It's like the CIA declassifying documents. Yeah. It's like, okay, now we can know what happened with Kennedy and Roswell. Exactly, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no. I don't want to come across as a total dick that's like, oh, when you talk about games, I'm just not listening. No, I will concede it's hard to interest me in gaming stuff. But that's when it's in-game stuff. Like, it's got this really great thing in the game. Like, I'm never going to play it. Doesn't matter how great. I haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2. And I really want to play it. I really want to play it.
Yeah.
But no. Okay. So that was that.
That was that.
Okay. So we have a list. We have a list for the listeners.
Is there more shop talk to be done? Are we telling them now or at the end that this is the last episode of the year?
Yeah, I was thinking we maybe should have started with that.
Yeah, this is the last episode of the year.
It is the last episode of the year.
We've decided we're taking December off, it seems.
Well, only because, actually, it's been from me watching a lot of Bill Maher.
Okay.
A real-time Bill Maher. What he does, they kind of start in January, have a couple of weeks off in summer, I think a month actually, and then they have December off. And I kind of thought, yeah, that might be good, because obviously in December it's kind of busy anyway, and you have to edit it, and I know it's not like now, it's not uber demanding, but it's
certainly not what it was.
Certainly not what it was, and December's the time when like there's a dry patch cinematically now. We tend to get a lot of the Oscar.
There's movies. A lot of waiting for the Oscar stuff to
a lot of waiting.
Be released, yeah.
So it'd be like, yeah, we'll take December off, and then either a lot comes out that we can like review at the start. We'll have a lot of stuff for next year. But yeah, we'll have the end of the year to mourn what could have been for the podcast.
Yes.
And then we'll start with like our best of this year.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. So the next episode will be the best of 2022.
The best 10 combined film and TV.
Exactly.
Of 2022.
And so we're kind of like prepping you for that.
Yes.
We're prepping you for the big list with this little list.
We're training you to listen to us talking about lists. Yeah. Okay. So how did we come to this?
Last episode, you would just sort of tell me about shows that you'd seen.
Yes.
Because when you talk about things you want to talk about, I listen.
I listened to the Mick Gordon thing.
Well, sure. Sure you did. But you mentioned that you'd watched Bad Sisters.
Yeah.
And you said that it had a very good opening title sequence, which it did. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, that led to the question, what's the best opening title sequence? And you put me on the spot.
Yes.
So I didn't give an answer.
Yeah.
But us being us...
Yeah. Very quickly, though, is that a common thing? I don't know whether that's a me thing or a common thing. Where, like, if someone says, oh, I really love this film, my go-to knee-jerk is, oh, what's your favourite film? Okay. I don't know if people generally think like that. I know I'm a bit of a list maniac, so I don't know how common that is.
I feel like... Yeah, I think people do.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of like a casual... Well, I guess this would be in a casual context. It would be...
Oh, yeah, I don't expect other people to have lists.
Yeah.
It is just like...
Or like, when you're getting to know someone, it's like, oh, so, they bring up a film. It's like, oh,
there's a lot of getting to know. But yeah. I am baffled when people say, I don't really have a favourite.
No.
It's okay. When people say, oh, I don't have one, they're like, fine. But I'm like, what do you mean? I can't understand the psychology that doesn't compose a hierarchy of quality. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like in that sense, I'm the Nazi. You know? Usually you are, but in that context, I am.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I do the same as you, where I do like,
we are very similar in that regard.
Yeah, this is amongst the favourite things. This is amongst the good things.
Yes.
This is everything else.
Yes.
But
more on which later.
But there's so much now. Because I'm more engaged, again, not to the same level as you, but I am more engaged in stuff, and I am watching more stuff, and so it's harder to keep track of the things.
Yes.
Like someone recently who started working for the company that I work for. Mm-hmm. So we've had those conversations recently about what's your favourite films, what's your favourite TV shows, any good shows that you could recommend?
Yeah.
That's the worst fucking question in the world.
It's the worst thing, and I get asked it a lot, as you might expect.
Or films. What films do you recommend? It's like, oh, geez, what? Just from this year or ever? Like,
well,
what the hell?
That question compelled me to start a list of every TV show I've ever watched.
But that's just insane.
I know it's insane. Well, okay, no. So, TV shows that I've watched in their entirety.
I'll never be able to remember all of the shows that I've watched.
No, it's... Okay, right, let's get into this.
And also... At what point do you stop cataloguing them in terms of quality?
Oh, you don't do that.
It's like,
I don't do that.
This is the 515th best show.
No. When I say list, I don't rank them.
Okay.
I don't rank. It's just an alphabetized
So
list.
What do you do? Someone says, like, what shows do you recommend? You just look at that list and you just go...
Yeah.
There, look at this list.
No. Okay, so years and years and years ago, like probably more than 10 now, I don't know how it started, but... I have a list of songs, just all songs that I like or have heard.
Yeah. But those it's good to keep track of.
Yeah, it is, because you do forget. And if you don't have Spotify especially, which I don't.
Yeah.
But Funfiltered does, so catch us on Spotify.
Oh.
You're already listening. I'm plugging the podcast on the podcast.
No one listens on Spotify.
No one
listens anyway.
No, but like really no one listens. Yeah, I think the last time we looked at the figures, it was a negative, wasn't it? People have unsubscribed because they know that we are on it. So, but I don't know how it started. I don't know how I ever thought it was feasible to start listing songs and artists. But it is where it is. And if there's a song I hear, like, oh yeah, I like that song, it's on the list.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of evolved like that. TV, I get asked so often what are the best TV shows. I thought I'll just keep that list. And when people ask... I just look at the list and I just extract the good ones.
Okay.
Because it does vary slightly person to person. Like, I'm not going to recommend 15 Stories High to everybody. But exactly.
Well, you haven't even recommended it to
well,
me.
There you go.
So
if you're like a hardcore British comedy fan, or someone says, I really want like, what's a weird comedy that I won't have heard? It'll be something like that.
Okay.
It's purely
you
pragmatic.
just trust yourself to remember what all the shows are? Or do you
I know what all the shows. I've watched all the shows in their entirety, so I know what all the shows are.
Because we've been like going to watch something.
Yeah.
And I've like asked you about a film that came out that week.
Yeah.
And you've gone, have I watched that? Like, you don't even know if you've watched it or something. So you trust yourself to remember the genre and like...
Of course.
Every show you've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because people are asking me for the best. So I'm going to remember the best.
Okay.
And obviously it's my own opinion. The caveat is always, there are films you're going to love that are not on this list because they're not on my list.
Yeah.
I don't cater it that... It's not that tailored. You know, like I really love, someone who really loves French films. I'm not going to go seeking out French. It's like, no, you're the films I like, and you might like them too. I'm not going out of my way to,
La Haine. That's the only French film I know.
You know more than that.
Do I?
You must know more than La Haine.
Do I?
Have you heard of Breathless? A Bout de Souffle?
No.
There's bound to be some French New Wave films of the 60s you've heard of.
I'm sure I've erased them all from my memory.
Yeah.
University isn't sure.
None are good.
No. Yeah.
Sacrilege to say that, but yeah, I don't like French films.
Sacre Bleu.
Sacre Bleu. It's probably a French film. Exploitation French. What would that look like? It would just be like an exploitation French movie would be them talking like they're normal. It wouldn't all be philosophy professors going through existential midlife crises, drinking wine. It would just be like, all right, mate. Like, ooh, how risque. Anyway, so yeah, I get asked that a lot, so I just maintain the lists. And like when it comes to film, it go with my inventory. Like anything I'm going to recommend, I'm going to own on DVD. So
except the ones you can't.
No, but they're on the list as well.
Yeah.
Because I make my own DVDs. Yes, so consequently, when people don't have a favourite, I'm like, what do you mean? So we have a list.
We have a list.
Of the 10 best opening title sequences.
Yes, because us being us.
Of all time.
We couldn't just let that go. We couldn't let that hang. Oh, look at this. Is this the Loose Threads episode?
Yeah, I guess. Well, I feel like this, for the end of the year, it's kind of ticking off a bunch of things that we do usually.
Yeah.
So a bit of irrelevant news brought to me by you. I'm joking.
Yeah.
A Jordan topic that's connected with gaming, and a catch-up at the same time.
Yeah.
A list, a film review, and a Marvel film review.
Oh.
And a Sam's Lexicorner. So...
Oh, there you
go. So we just crack on with the list.
Yes, okay.
So we kind of had a criteria, but the criteria only evolved because you were indecisive.
Did it?
Yeah. It was
I wasn't indecisive. I
was going off my gut. I'm like, I think these are my favourite, and you were like, I can't choose between this. Like, right?
Oh, that.
Let's break. Let's break it down.
I thought you were talking about like we haven't included children's shows. We haven't included like documentary, like non-fiction stuff.
No, that is insane.
Because there's like whole worlds of television that we haven't even accommodated for, and it was freaking me out a little bit. So you went no, just the scripted stuff.
Yes. So that's what we did. We tried to break it down, like concept and execution.
Yeah.
Music.
But like we wanted to avoid putting a title sequence on there just because of the theme song.
The music shouldn't carry it, but I will say it's a factor in a lot of.
No, it absolutely is. But it's more about the synergy between that and the visuals rather than God, the music's good, and you just kind of accept.
Everything else is which is why Doctor Who, for instance, isn't on my list.
Yes, it's also not on mine.
Sam, I forgot. I thought it was on yours.
Sam made me get rid of Doctor Who off my list.
Didn't make you.
And Prison Break.
You
didn't let me have Prison Break either.
I made you realise that you didn't want it on.
You didn't make me realise. You said Doctor Who's a 2. Get it off there.
2 out of 4.
2 out of 4.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
Prison Break is
only 4's allowed.
Prison Break is madness.
Prison Break has great music.
Yeah, the music is decent, but you yourself were the one that insisted music can't be a thing.
Yeah, but Prison Break's fine.
Oh, but Prison Break's fine.
Yeah.
You just have a weird relationship with that show. The credits are so pedestrian.
No,
just like every other show.
No, they're good. They're not good. They psych you up for
the music does, not the credits.
No, because the visuals. The visuals
are just like a bit of a scene from the show with a character in, and their name, which is the standard for every TV show.
You get the little origami crane as well, and it's like, imagery.
Let's actually go in the ones that made the top 10.
So Prison Break isn't actually on there.
It's not.
Nor is Doctor Who. No. But what is, Sam?
Well, okay, how should we do this?
Yeah, we've got separate lists.
Yeah, we're not going to collate. Okay, I'll do my number 10 first then.
Okay.
My number 10 is Severance.
Okay.
I know you were reticent to put it on yours because it's new.
It's exactly the same crisis we went through with Parasite when we were doing our best of the decade. No, it genuinely is, because like Severance will probably... Like, that is a good opening title sequence.
It is, yeah.
Because it's artistically unique. Mm-hmm. But it's also, it really does set up that show pretty well.
Well, there are titles that grow on you.
Yeah. I never skip them as well.
I never skip them. And there are titles, usually for HBO things, where there's kind of a cliche now of like a quality opening title sequence. So something like, with HBO shows, they tend to be like 1 minute and 1.5 minute long.
Yeah.
They kind of set the geography of the show and they show historical footage, all that kind of thing. There's a cliche quality show title scene.
Yeah.
Severance kind of falls into that. But the first time I saw it, it kind of broke out of that mold. I'm like, oh yeah, this is unique. I just love the style of animation.
Yeah.
I love the uncanny movements that come with that.
No, everything about it works.
For me, the thing that makes it is the spilling cup of Adam Scott's.
Yes.
There's something about that, a bunch of Adam Scott's in a cup.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I drink it or I drink it.
You drink up that Adam Scott.
I'm not a homosexual. But yeah, that's my number 10.
Yeah. But yeah, I was going to say that it was the same thing with Parasite in that, well, it's a brand new thing. Don't really want to be putting it...
Yeah, it's got to settle
amongst like the best of all time.
Yeah.
But like, I guess time will tell. Like,
yes.
It is a good title sequence. I can't deny that.
Yes.
My number 10 is the only one... No, we mentioned other ones, but it's one that was mentioned in the last episode, which is Halt and Catch Fire.
Okay, yeah.
Which I haven't seen.
No, you haven't even seen the show.
I haven't even seen the show, but I really like that opening title sequence.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You did say that it's not exactly characteristic of the show.
No, it's not at all.
Which knocks it down a little bit, because it doesn't quite sell it accurately.
It belies the show. Well, the show is... It starts off a bit patchy, but then it kind of evolves into Mad Men of the 80s computer industry, gaming industry.
Okay.
Computer going into gaming.
Yeah.
It's a drama.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the opening credits suggest an aspect of thriller.
Yes.
And in the first season, they try... The reason the first season isn't as good, other than usual teething problems, is it's trying to do like... It's trying to be an anti-hero show. The main character, he's kind of like a bit sexually ambiguous and maybe weird, all these things. And they kind of let that settle after the first season when they figure out what the show is.
Okay.
So I think that the thrillery score is trying to reflect... there's like a darkness in this.
Yeah.
And it maintains a darkness, but not at all to that extent. But they are pretty good opening.
They're good credits. Good music, obviously, good imagery. It's punchy.
Yes.
And it's like it feels short as well. It's not a massive title sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
There isn't much to say about these.
No, there's not.
Which is why this is a warm-up list.
We can't do an in-depth review here. Yeah. This is just, my number 9 is 6 Feet Under.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, is it on your list?
It's not.
No, okay, so we can talk about it.
But it is a good one.
Well, the score is a big part of it. Thomas Newman, who did American Beauty.
Yeah, you've said, like, his vibe is totally unique.
Totally unique. It is, like the 6 Feet Under score, it's equally light-hearted, a bit funny, and really sad. Which is the show.
Yeah.
So it kind of perfectly represents the show. It's got a dark sense of humour in a very dark context. I think it works because the imagery of the opening titles, obviously it's all funereal and death and them kind of working on bodies.
Yeah. But it's got that sort of heavenly glow to it.
It has a heavenly glow to it, like someone being wheeled down on a gurney toward the light. Yeah. It's very serious, offset by the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got those like weird drums and everything. Yeah. And I think that's the show in a nutshell. Very serious subject matter.
Yeah.
Offset by humour. So yeah, that's my number 9.
Okay, and mine is Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Is there not, like...
No. I know what you're going to say. The answer's no.
A title sequence that is simultaneously timeless and such a perfect encapsulation of its era?
I think Malcolm in the Middle is probably... Even though I don't necessarily have a close relationship with that show, I think it's the most nostalgic title sequence.
Absolutely,
for me.
yeah.
I so associate it with my youth. Sky One, and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the idea of Malcolm. Just that very, fast-paced, spiky song. Like very adolescent as well. Like, you're the best. That kind of nasally Blink-182 sort of.
Yeah, over just the anarchy of family life.
Family life intercut with footage from things they would have watched on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
Saturday morning cartoons and wrestling and... Yeah, it's very 90s, late 90s, early noughties. So, and that's when we grew up.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it is. It's a perfect example of something that's so specific, it becomes timeless.
Universal,
It becomes universal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. That's why it's on the list.
Okay, my number 8 is Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Oh my god, that's mine's number 8
It's your 8 as well.
It's my number 8 as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
I think we both watched it. We both immediately went, "Yeah, it's going on."
Yeah, it's top 10.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
It's really funny. It nails the 80s aesthetic.
Yeah.
With the old Channel 4 logo as well.
Yes.
Introing it. And
just of course the show's from 2004, but it's a pastiche. It's a parody of.
Well, the show within the show is meant to have been made in the 80s.
It's meant to be made in the 80s, and it's a parody of those kind of Stephen King.
It is. It's a weird blend. The show itself, the storylines, are pastiches of anthological Stephen King, at his worst kind of stories.
They're kind of trashy horror stories mixed in with the main star of that show being the author of those stories and a total egotist.
Yes.
One of the credits is theme song based on tunes hummed by Garth Marenghi.
Original melody whistled by Garth Marenghi.
That's it,
it's auto-hagiographical, the whole thing, isn't it? It's a total ego trip.
Yeah.
I love it when it bleeds into the show as well.
Yeah, the title card shot is him holding a baby while running away from an exploding ambulance. Yeah, it's so
I was going to say, it's kind of... It's tonally, that's part of the thing, is that he has no sense of tone.
Yeah. So
it's those kind of horror-y, what's the author who wrote, Day of the Triffids, and, The World's End is very inspired by...
Okay.
You take, a very British location, and you put, killer flowers.
Right.
That's going to bug me, but yeah, just Google it.
Okay.
It takes that, but then with an American sensibility of their mainstream action thriller shows of the 80s. So, the A-Team... It's got that kind of score, synthy, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, and exploding ambulances. What's the tone of this show?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's a terrible writer.
Yeah.
So, and I think the opening just nails that.
Absolutely.
And plus actor is one of the greatest. Dreamweaver visionary plus actor. Yeah.
No, it is. Yeah, it's a perfect example of you could only watch that title sequence and you get the show.
Yeah.
Maybe not the nuances of it, like the show within the show stuff.
Yeah.
But you know exactly what it's going for.
Oh, yeah, and they clearly studied 80, it's that music, it's those types of credits, and it's all, using footage from the show, which they all did of, there'll be a character, smiling Riley, and then the character's, high-fiving or whatever. Yeah, it nails it. So...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that'll be the only one where we had it in the same position.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
Number 7, Homeland, for me.
It's not on my list.
It's not on your list, okay.
But it's a good one. I don't think there's any title sequences
I think we're both going to agree that they're all good. They change slightly season to season, the same kind of idea. It's the score, which is this jazzy, kind of all over the place sort of thing.
Really discordant, barely melodical.
Yeah, but underneath it all, blended in with relevant audio from the real world and in show.
Yeah.
And I love that because it really grounds it in, this is happening. That's the idea. Quotes from the characters, intercut with Obama, talking about torture and things like that. And each clip that they select is appropriate for that season thematically. What they're talking about, a lot of Snowden stuff in season 5 and Pakistan stuff in season 4. Season 8, if I had to highlight one, would be my favourite. Just because it encompasses... the whole context of the show.
Yeah.
It starts with 9/11, which has obviously happened way before the show.
Yeah.
But it started the world in which that show is set.
Well, and it treats the show as an entire entity, as one story that's been unfolding, which I think is the first time it feels like Homeland had been acknowledged that way. You've got season 1 and 2, which are very much the Agent Brody seasons.
And 3.
And 3 as well, but I think 3 was my drop-off point. I think it was a drop-off point for a lot of
3
people.
3 was a dip in quality, but 1, 2, 3 are the Brody.
That's the Brody era.
Yeah.
I don't think he makes... Does he make it to the end of season 3?
He dies in the finale, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. I thought he died earlier than that. That's why I didn't include it.
Yeah.
But then 4 is kind of like a new lease on life.
Yeah, it's essentially a soft reboot.
It's a soft reboot.
Yeah.
5 is pretty self-contained, from what I remember. And then 6 and 7...
are kind of companion pieces.
Yeah, and then 8 is sort of like... It's, as you said previously...
Yeah, it's kind of a sequel to season 4.
But it's also a culmination of everything.
Of everything. It's very well done.
Yeah, and that's what's nice about that title sequence. It feels like the show's finally going, this has been one thing.
Yes, they bring Brody into the title sequence.
Yeah.
You know. Yes, it's that strange collision of sounds, the score beneath it all. If I wasn't watching the show, it would make me excited and want to watch it.
It catches your attention. You're like, ooh, what the hell is that?
Yeah, so that's my number 7.
Yeah. My number 7 is BoJack Horseman.
Okay.
I mean, it's a really good example of a show that's paying attention to itself, because I think every little update and little like change that happens to the characters or to the world of that show,
every story development,
it's always reflected in the title sequence. The big example is, like, for the first few episodes, the Hollywood sign is seen from BoJack's house.
Yeah.
And then the D gets stolen.
Yes.
And rather than replacing
Hollywood.
it, everyone just starts calling it Hollywood.
Yeah.
And the title sequence is changed to reflect that almost immediately.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little example of a show that's paying attention to its own details.
Beauty of the animation, isn't it? It's easy to just redo the...
I suppose,
title
absolutely.
I think BoJack would be on a lot of people's lists.
But yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Again, it's just such a unique vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, that weird score, that kind of almost Seinfeldian, but sad kind of.
It is weird. Yeah. You do kind of like BoJack. You come away from it with like you felt something,
but you're kind of empty.
Yeah. You've just gotta. I'm gonna have to process this for a while just to know what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I always think of Bill Burr when I think of BoJack Horseman, because I listened. I can't remember if it was an interview or his podcast, and he said like he loves BoJack because he likes his house. So I want his house. So, and obviously that's the first image of the title sequence fight. Yeah. Okay, was that it for BoJack?
BoJack's a good one.
My number 6 is Game of Thrones.
Yeah, all right.
Is that on yours?
I'm not ashamed to admit it. It's a good title sequence.
It's a very good title sequence. The music, of course. It's a clear, clean premise.
Yeah. Another instance of they update the title sequence according to changes within the show.
Geographical locations, yeah. So, fantastically designed. Yeah, and it showcases the geography on like is it Warhammer? It's a Warhammer table thing.
Yeah, it's like a map. Like a massive, multi-dimensional map. I don't know how you describe it.
What do you call those?
Well, it's not just a flat drawn map, is it? It's like structures.
No, but I mean actual Warhammer. What is it? A table? What would you call?
I guess
a Warhammer. I don't fucking know.
All right.
This is I mean, you're the D&D guy now.
Yeah, but that's a whole other world.
I know. With like the structures evolving upwards, kind of forming, like crystallizing. Like a game, you know, it is like a Warhammer game. Everyone knows the Game of Thrones sequence. It's really good. That's all I've got to say about it.
It is.
Yeah. Right, what's your number 6?
The Day-to-Day.
Interesting. Okay.
Interesting how?
No, just it's not one that I think would spring to anyone's mind.
No, I think people would probably put Brass Eye before the Day-to-Day. Like that's the. Brass Eye's the big one.
I think I would as well.
Yeah. I mean, they're both very similar conceptually.
Yes.
They're obviously, the Day-to-Day, it's like a parody of news programming, so the title sequence is a parody of a news opening. Brass Eye is more like current affairs, crime watch, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but bombastic, over the top.
Yeah.
This is the news.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So Brass Eye, it's sort of like B-roll of current affairs. Spliced in with like very overdramatic shots of like the presenters.
Yeah, like pointing at someone in the audience.
Yeah, dramatically pointing and like flicking their hair.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's like this mad little VFX sequence at the end where it becomes like the Da Vinci.
Yeah.
Like the man with multiple arms, and then it starts like folding and and it is very good, but I think the Day-to-Day, it's a simpler, cleaner execution of that concept.
Yeah.
Where it's just initially you've just got like these globes coming out of the screen. And then there's one that comes up for the title, and it just keeps like it just keeps going.
It just keeps going.
It rotates, then it folds, then it squashes down, then another one comes up and that envelops it, and it switches around, and it keeps going.
Both shows have very distinctive, like, shitty graphics thing going on.
Yeah.
Like, deliberately.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is very
And the music even reflects that, where it's like do-do-do-do-do. It just keeps going. It's like Brass Eye does get an honourable mention because it's very close in execution. But if I was going to name one of the two, it would be the Day-to-Day.
Yeah, fair enough. It is very good. Okay, my number 5 is The Leftovers, the second title sequence.
Oh, not the first one?
Not the first one. I like the first one.
Yeah. So
the first one is kind of like Sistine Chapel-esque murals.
Yes.
But of contemporary scenes.
Yeah.
And, to do with the departure, kind of people being pulled away like angels and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Very over the top, very self-serious. And I think misinterpreted as being self-important. Whereas I've heard Damon Lindelof say, "Oh, I thought it was funny." That it was so, over the top that people would get that. But I think that then they reinvented themselves for season 2. I think in part due to the response that this show is a hard watch.
Yeah. Maybe that didn't help it. Maybe the fact that the show...
Yeah, and the music is incredible. It's like very operatic and like... Oh,
which I can see how that would add to his interpretation of it, that it's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you said, the show didn't seem to overtly develop a sense of humour until later on.
Yes.
So maybe that didn't help make the case that, maybe you could have viewed the initial title sequence as funny because it's so like...
Yeah, things like that tend to be in my area. Things like that I do find funny.
Yeah,
we've talked about it before, but like The Smiths is like it's so like melodramatic that it's funny.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ever did find it funny. I did kind of take it at face value.
Okay.
But yeah, so the second season, the show sort of reinvented itself. There's a song that plays called "Let the Mystery Be" by Iris Dement. I love the song. It's both sad and funny again, and it bespeaks the reinvention of the show, which is it's a little more kind of ground level, a little more kind of
it feels a bit more kitsch, doesn't it? A bit more folksy.
The kitsch is the word I was going to use, but kitsch, I think there's an implied criticism in that. It doesn't become more twee, but it becomes kind of more human, I suppose. Yeah, folksy, definitely. And the kind of idea of the sequence is stills of family members or friends or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of them's disappeared.
Yeah.
Like the visuals are very haunting, yet sweet at the same time with the song. And Let the Mystery Be has kind of become an inner mantra for me. I think it's a good thing to go through life with. Let the mystery be. This is a bit of a tangent, and I don't know if we talked about it before, but I always view The Leftovers as kind of Lost graduating to university.
Okay.
I love Lost, but it was a network show. It dealt very explicitly with mysteries and it planted Easter eggs and you were meant to kind of thing. Whereas The Leftovers, the whole point is there are things you're not going to know the answer to, and that ambiguity becomes the kind of the beating heart of the show itself.
Yeah,
it's a more grown up Lost, and I just love the kind of design of these constellations in the gaps where people were, like in the figure of the body.
Oh, it's striking imagery. Simple, it's striking imagery. Yeah,
and the final fade of a mother leaving the two children is just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, The Leftovers. I love that.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is The Americans.
Okay. It's also good.
It's
yeah.
They're all good. Okay, they're all good. I mean, this is the type of title sequence that you could like teach in a class.
Mm-hmm.
This is the premise. This is what the show is. Here is it abstracted and distilled into a short, punchy sequence.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's got good music, but just like the constant like parallels of. It's not just showing you stuff from America and stuff from Russia. It's showing them side by side. It's deliberately trying to draw parallels.
Yeah, like analogues.
Yeah, analogues between the two countries.
I can't actually remember any, but it would be like a McDonald's and the Kremlin, or like
there might be something like that. I think they show the two government buildings side by side.
Yeah,
I think there's
or
also
Benjamin Franklin and Lenin. You know.
Yeah, kind of I think there's also a bit where they've got like the classic American dancing girls with like they raise their legs high.
With the traditional Russian.
Yeah,
dancing.
Exactly. Yeah, stuff like that. And then towards the end, they do start integrating like character stuff in there as well.
Yeah,
like case files and espionage photos and stuff like that.
I think
it's just such a strong concept executed so well.
It is, and it's good because it sinks in as well. Like, I think it takes you a while to kind of realise Oh, they're doing that.
Yeah.
Because it's very quick.
Yeah.
And, whenever it takes longer for something to sink in, it tends to be a better experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. Very good.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Shameless, the US version.
Ah, yes, this is on my list.
But it's not number 4.
But it's not number 4.
Okay, we'll come back to it then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Feels weird, but
Yeah.
okay, we'll do that then. My number 4 is the IT crowd.
Okay. Yes. Good.
It's good.
It's good.
Yes.
It's not top 10, but it's good.
No, it's good. It really is good.
It is good.
What's wrong with it?
Nothing's wrong with it. Honestly, nothing's wrong with it. It's
Yeah, genuinely. There is nothing wrong with it.
Again, good music inspired by, what's the song? It has electric in it. Our Friends Electric by Gary Newman.
All right.
It's very clearly the synth line's taken from that. Have you heard that song?
No.
I think when you hear it, you go, oh yeah, that.
Right, okay.
Yes, but carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just like every little thing about it. It's says something. Like, obviously, it starts with the 3 main characters. Like, there's a building full of drones, and one of the computers goes wrong, and then the 3 main characters show up. Mm-hmm. Roy uses, like, a big hammer because he's just this thug. This careless thug.
Yeah.
Moss has, like, this replica anime sword because he's a nerd.
Yes.
Jen has a whip because she's a hard ass.
Yeah.
And then they all get, like, someone pulls, like, the chain on a toilet, and they all get flushed into the basement, which is obviously the main location of the show.
Yeah.
And then you got that fun little visual gag at the end where it's like written by Graham Linehan, and it's that like computer when it's frozen and it just creates an infinite version of the screen as you drag it around the screen. It's just like, it's such a tight sequence.
Yeah, you know what? It's one of those things where when you break it down, you realise how good it is. I think when you watch it, well, me anyway, it's like you don't pay that much attention to it. Maybe because it's a 20-minute comedy and you're just waiting to get to the...
Yeah.
But no, it is very good.
Yeah. No, it's so compact. And it's nothing's
and obvious
wasted.
as well.
Yeah.
My number 3 is True Blood. So, again, the song, it's very down and dirty. I think it's called Bad Things by Jace Everett. I think.
That would make sense.
Yeah. I won't do bad things to you. Yeah. Down and dirty. It's just this collage of sex and violence and the South. Unparalleled, I would say, grounding of the location of the show. Like, you really get where it's set.
Yeah.
It combines a lot of themes visually, so religion, lust, segregation, oppression, death, all things that the show deals with. I know it's like the easy thing to like, but there's a point where like the camera's in a truck driving past a sign, like a church sign that says "God hates fangs," and for me that's the perfect distillation of the show.
Yeah,
and it never appears in the show.
Oh right, okay.
It's just a thing that's in the title sequence.
Oh okay.
Because there's a lot of existing footage that they use, so it kind of makes it unclear what they filmed and what isn't.
I think that Fox
is famously
that's the most famous one.
But you don't really know what they've shot for it and what's like a woman being baptized in a lake and all like at night, very, very, and kind of sped up, slowed down. It's just kind of very perfectly done, to be honest. So, that's my number 3.
Okay.
What's yours?
Masters of Sex.
Well, that's my number 2.
Okay.
So
we'll talk about it now?
Yes, I suppose we will.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, we will talk about it anyway.
Okay.
It's good, isn't it?
It's good. So basically, it's a comprehensive collection of visual metaphors for sex.
Yes.
Very comprehensive.
Yeah.
It's all existing footage, with the exception of the little animation of the boy and the girl spliced between. I don't know, it's just like, again, it's not necessarily reflective of the show entirely.
Okay.
You'd think the show was a lot more bawdy than it is. It's a drama with a lot of sex in it.
Okay.
And it does have a sense of humour, but it's not as...
Right.
But it's just kind of nice and cheeky. It's like, hey, And
it's as you say, it's so comprehensive.
Yeah.
That it's just a definitive article.
It's undeniable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I like that they did it as well, because I think that if you were to pitch that, I feel like they'd go, well, yeah, obviously, we were hoping you'd come up with something a bit cleverer than that.
Yeah.
But when you see it, it's like, oh no, this had to be done. There was no other title sequence you could have done for this show.
I just like the little story that plays out in the graphic. Like the boy and the girl sitting on the same bench, kind of looking coyly at each other, not wanting to talk, then moving closer, then getting like a buzz.
Yeah.
And then it ends just with the two of them like sitting apart, legs open, hair like muscled, smoking a cigarette.
Yes.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your number 2?
Shameless.
Right, let's talk about Shameless.
It's good.
It's good. So it's essentially a fixed camera.
Yeah.
Looking at a bathroom floor. Brilliant premise.
Yeah.
Again, down and dirty like the show. It says a little something about each character in the show. It suggests the brash tone and the propellant dynamic song just like really takes you through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, it does. It's deceptive in how much it's achieving.
Yeah.
Because it is just a locked off camera, and as far as you're concerned, you're just watching people use the bathroom for the various things they do. Some using it properly, some using it not properly.
Yes.
You meet I'm assuming you meet every major character.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, it says something about their character, the way that they interact with the bathroom.
Yeah.
Obviously, it grounds that sense of place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's such a strong concept. Like, that could be a whole music video.
Yes, it could.
Itself.
It could.
It's that strong a concept.
And it's the kind of song it's the kind of music they use in the shows, or like very punky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect for setting a tone. It's like, yeah, I get that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've got the same number one.
I think we do.
Dexter?
Yeah, it's Dexter.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of said, you kind of said it in the last episode, but having now gone through
yes
your definitive
we peer reviewed it. Yeah.
We peer reviewed it. We can say, yes, Dexter is indeed the best.
It is the best television. It's playful. It has that incongruous music. It's such a simple concept. And the best thing about it is it's all in the filming.
Yeah.
You couldn't pitch it literally.
No.
It's like, well, he wakes up and he brushes his teeth and he ties his shoelaces. And,
Yeah.
You know, there's this whole idea of like a lethal predator masquerading as normal.
Yeah.
A morning routine that's pregnant with violence.
Yeah.
I love it. If you're not familiar with it, it's like, it's him going about his morning routine, but it's filmed in such a way to kind of exemplify the flashiness of it, or the kind of...
So the pomegranate, is filmed in such a way where it looks like he's like disemboweling someone.
Yeah, and
he's
putting steaks or bacon.
He's putting meat on the tray. When he's putting his t-shirt on, it's like someone's being suffocated.
Yeah, and when he's flossing his teeth, it's like he's wrapping something to garrote someone with. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's inspired. It really is.
And then you get that little nod at the end that you're in on it.
Yeah.
I think it just says so much about the show, because the show, again, dark.
Yeah.
But it has a sense of humour.
Yeah.
And you get his narration.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you're in his head. All right? He's like literally nodding at you.
He acknowledges you, yeah. Oh, yeah, there's so much that it like, I know that is the big criticism, is it's a bit too long. I think
it is. But again, it's... How long are Dexter episodes? They're not 40 minutes, are they? They're a bit longer because they're showtime.
Slightly.
So I'm okay with a longer one if the show is longer.
Yeah.
It's when you get those credits for like a 40-minute drama. It's like, no, 40 minutes, you want Breaking Bad, Lost. You just want the title card. Yeah, no, Dexter is the best, definitively.
It is definitively the best one.
All right. That was that then.
Tune in for the next episode if you want a proper list.
It's weird not ending with a list, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I had new wardrobes recently.
Oh, yeah?
New wardrobe.
I can't talk about video games. We're going to talk about you getting a new wardrobe.
No, basically the corollary is that I also got a new DVD player. Well, an old DVD player, but new for me. And there was a disc already in it. Basically, my mother has a friend that cleans out houses, so if there's something that works, we'll just give it to people.
Right.
So we got new wardrobes, chests of drawers, and a DVD player. And there was a disc in there. So we thought...
Cleans out houses that, like...
People have vacated.
Yeah, yes. She doesn't just take people's shit. Right?
The people, no. I love that. A burglar that, like, just for the inconvenience, will also clean up a bit. No, like, mass cleans out houses, gets rid of all the shit they leave behind. And there was a disc already in the DVD player. So I thought, that's some fodder. So we watched a bit of it. It's up on the screen now. So the disc is the Renown the Renown Pictures, A Rainy Afternoon at the Flicks Collection, Volume 2, Disc 3. So they were really on a marathon, it looks like. Or they particularly like the contents. It's basically films from the 40s, it looks like. They kind of, each disc, it's as though it's a program for a cinema in the 1940s.
Yeah, arranged how they used to be. So you have a couple of like little
vignettes.
Vignette shorts at the beginning, then you have a B feature, then you have a main feature.
Yes. So the pre-feature stuff is something called 1 a Minute and Let's Visit Lancashire.
Yes.
The B feature is That Brennan Girl, and the main feature is Thunder Rock. Now, we had absolutely no idea what this would be.
No.
So That Brennan Girl and Thunder Rock, it transpires, are feature-length films. So we didn't watch those, because fuck that. But we did watch 1 a Minute and some of, maybe most of, Let's Visit Lancashire. Just before the podcast.
Yeah.
1 minute was surprisingly funny.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a big surprise.
Yeah.
Because it's clearly like from the 40s or whatever period of time, you know. Because it's not just aesthetically of that era, the sound is of that era.
Yes.
Like, it's loud crackle where you have to, like, tune into the dialogue.
Yeah.
And it's a comedy.
A little comedy short.
It's a little comedy sketch, but it's, like, good.
It holds up.
It's good humour. It's not like that type, you know. No, when I say humour that's, like, outdated, I don't mean something that, like, oh, that's not acceptable anymore.
No.
It's just, like, some humour. It's like,
it's
laugh.
aged badly.
Yeah, we just laugh at different things now.
Like Lenny Bruce, just not funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, no, this is, like, it has a solid little premise.
Yeah. It's like an inventor.
Yeah.
Who's coming up with all these...
Like, it opens, like, it just fades in on him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I am annoyed.
Yes.
I am rather angry.
Yeah. And he's kind of encountered all these, not really problems, but problems of modern life, such as it was.
Yeah.
And has come up with all these inventions to remedy those ills. So, like, if your pea slides off your fork, your knife, rather, he's invented a knife that has holes in it, so they'll carry peas. And, like, wives that wave their husbands off to work so they don't catch a cold in the winter. It's kind of like this arm that you pull a lever.
Yeah,
and it kind of waves its hanky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah. Well, it was like the humour was well considered as well.
Yes,
because it was like it was played completely straight. Like, it wasn't being delivered as though, oh, this is a comedy bit.
Yes.
We're in on the joke. It was not.
No, like, yeah, this is pre that shit.
Yeah.
This is just this is a funny sketch.
Yeah. I am a character in a thing. I don't think this is funny, therefore I am not delivering it in a funny way.
Yes.
But obviously, yeah, the joke was he'd come up with these inventions that he obviously believed helped.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, they either were just, like, completely unnecessary or make the situation worse.
Yeah.
So, for example, like, yeah, you've given those examples, but there's also one where it's like, oh, if you're trying to eat soup.
Yes.
Like, when you go to a restaurant and you try to eat soup, usually they have a band playing to mask the clinking of the the spoon on the bowl.
Yeah.
So I've invented a bell that lives under your soup bowl that rings every time that you clink your spoon.
Yeah.
And it's this horrible shrill ringing.
It's horrible, yeah.
Yeah, but he goes, see, you can't share the spoon.
The thing I like about it is that they're all, like, overly elaborate, impractical inventions.
Oh yeah, he's over-invented.
But they all work for the purpose, except the bell one, which is what I like. It's like that. It doesn't actually solve any problem.
Well, you can kind of see the logic to it, but also when you actually look at the finished product, you go, oh, no. Like the left-handed coffee mug.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, it's a coffee mug, and it's like, well, if you're right-handed, you just take the handle off and put it on the other side.
Yes.
Whereas literally all you had to do was just turn the mug.
What was the first one? Because that was a similar sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where you just move something.
Well, there was the alarm candles, wasn't there?
Yeah, it wasn't that. Yeah, where you put it in your ear.
Yeah.
For whatever time you want to wake up.
If you want to wake up in 10 hours, you put the 10-hour candle in and light the wick.
Yeah.
And it'll burn your face when it's time to wake up.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Oh, the half alarm clock was good as well. If you want to wake up,
clock,
but the other person in the bed doesn't, you split the alarm clock in half, so only your half rings, so the other person doesn't get woken up. It's obviously bullshit.
Yeah.
No, that was like a big surprise.
Yeah.
And it's only a couple of minutes long.
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes, something like that.
I don't know, like, if it exists anywhere else, or we have the only copy.
That's true, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this collection has tried to program it, and that this is literally what you would have seen on this week or whatever in 46. But then the next thing was Let's Visit Lancashire, which was a lot less funny.
Yes, that was just a dry, straight up documentary telling you how great Lancashire is.
It's a bit funny because of its anachronism.
Yeah, there's like moments where he kind of, because it's got that kind of eloquence.
It's that 1940s, you know.
Exactly, yeah. It's not just the way they speak, it's the vernacular that they use.
Yeah.
It's very elaborate, it's very prim and proper.
Well,
and then there's moments where he just kind of, very twee, but then there's moments where he just kind of like talks more colloquially.
Yeah, well, and just the pronunciation of, like, People here come to see the water.
Yes.
It says water a lot.
Yeah, stuff like that. But then there's a moment where, like, oh, you don't have to look both ways across the street.
Yeah, Mrs. Pickle or whatever. Mrs. Pickle doesn't have to look both ways. She crosses the street to tell Mrs. whatever in the other house that she's irked the butcher again or whatever.
Yeah.
It's things like that.
Little things like that. It's like, oh, that's kind of funny. But it's clear the intent is just, here's Lancashire.
It's promoting Lancashire.
Yeah, isn't it great?
And God, I'd never want to live there. the country.
What was the thing where he said, like, Lancashire wasn't enough for one resident who said that it was just trees and bushes and stuff. And she's not wrong. Yeah. But that's what's great about Lancashire. It's like, no, it's not. Yeah. It's just a place, you know.
So that was fodder in so much as it was.
Yeah. We thought there'd be more.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a nice little sketch. I would recommend it, but I don't know if you'll ever find it.
Yeah, so it's called, if you want to try YouTubing it, it's called 1 a Minute. So maybe try 1 a Minute 1940s comedy sketch or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time for Sam's Lexicorner.
Yay!
Yay!
Samuel. Words. Phrases. Sam's Lexicorner.
So this was in response to, was it last episode? I promised one, didn't I?
Yes, this really is the wrapping everything up episode. She-Hulk, I believe.
She-Hulk
inspired
and
this.
kind of, well, you sort of asked for it. So how would you define it?
Well, She-Hulk seems to be... The problems presented in She-Hulk are not unique. There are so many shows and films nowadays where it feels like they're just doing all the shit that She-Hulk did.
Yes.
They kind of, as you sort of characterised it as well, I think that it's not just that they're lowest common denominator, meta-comedy, that is, it's not even like disguising the mechanics of the show, it's putting them on full display.
Yes.
As though it's doing something really clever, but it's also using that as a substitute for actually writing jokes and writing a story.
Yeah.
So, like, a joke in She-Hulk will be, oh, look, the A story and the B story are finally intersecting.
Yes.
When that's literally everything a show should be doing. That shouldn't be highlighted.
Yeah.
Not just because you don't need to, but also that's basic fucking shit.
Yeah, basic structure.
And then, obviously, the big thing is there is no finale. She just goes, oh, this finale is not very good. Right. And then she goes to the Marvel offices and they go, oh, look, here's a better finale. And that's the finale.
So, like, the trend of, especially like Marvel and things like that, and like, with ideology as well, I think that's making
and that's the other
a social point.
It's not just it's not just the meta component, because that's existed for a little while.
Yeah.
But they seem to be rolling up left-leaning ideology into there as well. Again, as if it's something radical and new.
Yeah. I'm a woman. I'm a female protagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The toxic male trolls are the enemy. Because again, I think this is something people have pointed out as well, like Ghostbusters 2016. The villain was
has been reappraised. That got shit reviews at the time, obviously from normal people.
Yeah.
But also from the critics.
Yeah.
It's been reappraised, like it's now fresh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, it was fresh at the time, wasn't it?
Was it fresh at the time?
I'm sure they put it on the DVD case that it was certified fresh.
Did they?
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Oh, maybe then. I don't know. But I think since the last Ghostbusters film came out, a lot of people have said, oh, it makes the other one look pretty good now.
Yeah.
Which is just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Afterlife was... I haven't seen it, in fairness, but from what I know of it, that was guilty of other problems within the industry. But yeah, again, it's kind of acting as though... Like the villain of Ghostbusters 2016 was like a Ghostbusters fan or something, or he was like a male... Like, he lives in his mother's basement. It's clearly like a dig at, like... the stereotypical Ghostbusters fan, or this type of person that would stereotypically like something like Ghostbusters. That's also kind of the same in She-Hulk, where I think they're like people that complaining on Reddit about the fact that She-Hulk has Hulk powers.
The Velma thing, the
Velma
scorn for the fans.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a part of it as well.
Yeah,
I've tried to roll it all up into a ball.
Okay.
So what I've come up with is midfic.
Okay.
MIDFICC. Now, you could drop one of the C's if you want, because I think it, as like fiction, I think that works quite nicely.
Yeah.
But midfic stands for meta, ideologically driven, fan indifferent, clueless, and conceited.
Okay.
And I think there's a nice thing, it's like middle of the road fiction.
Yes.
Midfic.
So would I say She-Hulk is a midfic from
film.
Marvel Studios? Or would it be?
I think it'd be a midfic film.
Okay, so it's...
Or you could just say it's midfic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either it's a midfic or it's a midfic film.
Okay, so it's like, it's not, it's genre, it's like a...
I suppose...
It's like saying, it's like a serialized drama.
I suppose an addendum to the Lexicorner could be some mid-fiction.
Okay.
So MID, all caps, MID-FICC, shun.
Right.
But yeah, meta, like we talked about, ideologically driven, fan indifferent, lacking in real self-awareness that people don't like it.
That was the other thing as well.
Yeah, so clueless, like kind of boiled down to that. And conceited, that it thinks it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
So I think it's all in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels thorough.
Yeah, okay.
Samuel. Words. Phrases. Sam's Lexicorner.
Alright, should we do a film review?
Must we? Can we just pretend we did the review and just go home?
It's the last thing. Let's just get out of the way.
Okay. Well, you can tell me what it was about then.
Oh, I don't know what it was about. I can't be expected to know the plot.
Right, the film that we're going to review, we're going to attempt to review.
Yes.
I think we're going to review it. It's Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this film.
As did I.
With audio and visuals.
With clarity.
With clarity of thought. Not only that, because the copy that I watched, I'm assuming the copy you watched as well, was creatively acquired. I watched it in the comfort of my own home, despite it only being available in the cinemas.
Yeah, I wouldn't. No, a friend asked, "Oh, let's go to the cinema this week. Is there anything good?" The only thing of note is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and I will not pay to watch that. I refuse on principle.
And so the copy...
So yeah, we stole it.
Yeah. And the copy that we stole,
yeah,
when they're talking in their stupid nonsense languages, it's translated into French subtitles.
You're getting more right wing on this podcast. No, I've had an effect on you.
They are nonsense language. It's not real African, right, that they're speaking? Or
I don't know. I know the one that he's speaking is.
Oh, it is it?
Name more. It's like a Mayan language.
Oh, right. Oh, I thought they were fictional languages.
Oh, right. Okay.
In that case, I do apologise.
They're fucking dirty, sweaty languages. Yeah.
Coming into our country.
A wet baccalaureate. Okay.
If they're real languages, fine, but I assume they were fictional languages.
Yeah, okay.
But they were translated into French subtitles, which obviously we don't know French.
No.
So I went to the effort of translating the subtitles.
Oh, did you? I didn't even go that much out.
I opened up Google Translate, I put it side by side, and I typed out the subtitles. So I knew what was being said.
Well, you know more about the plot than me then.
And I feel totally ill-equipped to review this film.
Right. Let's try and... What is the plot? The plot is he's died.
He's dead.
He's died of a disease.
Which he's not supposed to?
Well, they were trying to heal him, and it didn't work.
Well, that's the thing. I don't remember the first Black Panther.
Okay.
But I know that like that little herb that she's trying to recreate, that's what gives him his Black Panther powers. Mm-hmm. I thought the idea was that once he didn't need to replenish the herb. Like, he's taken it now. He is the Black Panther.
I can't remember anything about the herb, I'll be honest.
Okay.
There are things I remember from the first one, but nothing about the herb.
Okay.
The herb.
The herb.
The herb.
Yeah.
Trying to do a Jamaican accent. Yeah, the herb. The herb.
The
herb. You have the herb, darling.
Yeah, I thought the idea was that, like, oh, you take that herb and now you're the Black Panther.
Right.
And when Killmonger destroyed all of it, it was so that there could be no more Black Panthers. Because, like, if he needed to replenish Killmonger now, if he needed to keep replenishing the herb, why did he destroy it all?
Oh, I don't know. Let's not do that.
The point is, Chadwick Boseman dies off screen almost immediately from an unknown illness, which he probably shouldn't have had, given that he has the Black Panther herb. Because they're trying to synthesize the Black Panther herb, and she doesn't do it in time, and he dies.
Yes. So that happens.
so that happens.
And then
there's a funeral. There's a mural on the wall. It's fairly tastefully done, in all fairness.
Yeah. And then some white devils are in a sub. Well, not a sub, but not a ship, and they send...
They have the goal to, like, be searching for this rare element that is abundant in Wakanda, but Wakanda won't give to anyone because they think that they wouldn't use it properly.
Yeah, because they're white. I mean, they'd abuse it.
Yeah.
That's not what they say, but that is the subtext.
Yeah.
And then they encounter a race of...
Fish people
led by Namor.
Who is a...
Who's a fish?
He's a fish?
No,
is
he's not.
A fish?
What are they called? Talokans? Is that what? Talakans? Talokans?
Talaquin, I don't know.
I think it's Talokans. Let's go with Talokans. And he's like, you announced what's it called?
Presence?
No, the fucking mineral or whatever it is. It's not vibranium, is it?
Yeah.
It's vibranium.
Yeah, vibranium, yeah.
You announced to the world you have vibranium, but that's now drawn people's attention to vibranium. We have vibranium too, so partner up with us or we're going to kill you. Something like that.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
That's all. Action ensues.
Well, there's a whole 2 hours after that.
Yeah, I know. They go to Boston at one point and they find a black girl that worked on a thing. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Right, so the first point is they killed him. That's a plus to me. Because the initial rumours were that it was set during the blip.
Yes, which isn't the worst workaround. It does delay the problem rather than solve it.
Yeah, exactly. It delays it.
But it's also interesting because that's not really a well-chronicled period of time within the MCU, so it'd be interesting to do that, especially from within an isolated state.
Yeah.
To sort of like see how a global event is affecting a country that keeps to itself.
And I think there's something interesting to be done with it, but I also would think, well, we know he's dead. The blip happened a long time ago now in cultural terms.
Yeah.
It is just delaying the inevitable. So what are they going to do next time? And I'm glad that not that I am invested, but I'm glad that they just dealt with that now. Like, they nipped it in the bud. He's dead, okay?
Yeah.
Like, it's over. But speaking of the herb, such as the law colliding mess of the MCU, I don't know why anybody has to die anymore. Just because there's so much time travel, sacred stone, gorgeous herb, life-sustaining tree stuff that I'm not sure why anybody has to die.
Yeah, because I think Martin Freeman was shot in the spine in the first one.
Was he?
Yeah,
and he's jogging at the start.
Yeah, and Wakanda were like, "Oh, it's fine, we'll heal you up."
Yeah,
and they do, which is why he's beholden to them. I think in this film. Yeah, there is a bit of that where it's like, well, if he was still alive, you would figure it out.
Yes,
but they couldn't figure it out. So at least there's no bullshit like. There's no CGI Chadwick Boseman. No.
He's not in it at all.
There's no archive footage that they've reappropriated.
Well,
like
only for the opening Marvel logo. You get it's all Boseman.
But that's fine, because that's non-diegetic.
Yeah.
It's not like... Not Lupita Nyong'o, who's the main one in this?
Letitia Wright, I think.
Letitia Wright. Yeah. It's not as if she has a conversation with Chadwick Boseman where she's clearly trying to talk around the existing dialogues. None of that. He's just not in it. So, yeah, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Although, isn't it like in the mid-credit sequence, you find out that I think this is Lupita Nyong'o. She had a child with Black Panther, and his name is T'Challa.
Yes.
So it's like, it's literally just the same thing now.
Yeah. It's like Black Panther will endure.
It's literally the same character, but he's younger and not as close to death now.
Yes. I was going to say, you don't think you'd be played by Boseman, do you? As though that wasn't the cause of the whole problem in the first place. Okay. You can't just put Richard Schiff in a suit and you can't put Richard Schiff in a suit and a political context, okay? Because
it's not allowed.
Richard Schiff has a fixed look. He isn't chameleonic in that way.
No.
He's Toby Ziegler, all right? And I don't think Toby would be conducting himself in that manner.
No. Toby is better than this.
Yeah.
But no, like, I was thinking, because I thought that he was going to be, like, at the beginning, because I didn't know what it was about, I thought he was going to be the main, like, villain, almost.
Yeah.
Like the Kelsey Grammer in Transformers 4, where he's, like, the
white politician who's like, we should invade Wakanda.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I thought, like, well, if you want me to be on Wakanda's side, you can't make the villain Toby Ziegler.
I know.
I'm just going to side with Toby Ziegler, even if he is...
He's also Jewish. There's something you can't do that.
Yeah. There's also that, yeah. But he only shows up, like, one more time, and he's not, like, totally unreasonable.
No.
In fact, he makes a good fucking point. He's like, it's not just that we want Wakanda to share their resources. You fucking promised us.
Yeah.
And you haven't done shit.
Yeah.
And then she's like, but you send soldiers to kill us. To take our resources.
Yeah.
So we have moral high ground. Fuck off.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Talokans, let's just go with Talokans.
Okay.
They look silly.
They do.
And they move sillily.
They do. Namor
is another sympathetic villain with a legitimate, historical, allegorical grievance. I think it's Tenoch Huerta. That's the name of the actor that plays him.
Okay.
Tenoch Huerta is uncharismatic in the film. I thought he was a rubbish villain.
Oh, yeah.
I really thought it was a rubbish film. And they, like, that's clearly their thing now. Villains, like, where you get it. And it's kind of about imperialism and, like, minorities and...
Well, that just makes it all the stranger when he ruthlessly and unnecessarily invades Wakanda, drowns the city, kills all these people, and then the big resolution at the end of the film is they are Wakanda's first genuine ally.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, so America? No.
Yeah.
America, bad. We can't side with America. The people who fucking killed my children?
Yeah.
We'll side with them.
But they're other ethnic minorities.
Yeah, and they have the same resources as them. And it's like a mutually beneficial... Like, what they've just done is they've, like, found an equal superpower to them. And they've basically said, look, we'll team up and we'll keep all the good shit to ourselves. And we'll just, like, keep everyone out of here. Is this really, like... Are we really supposed to be supporting these people?
I mean, I'm all for a country kind of holding on to its resources. Like, there's no obligation to be globalist.
No.
Like, you can be isolationist or at least kind of...
I think there is a hypocrisy or just there's something that is not being acknowledged
It's
here.
I think it's moral... It's self-righteousness. It's...
Yeah.
Okay, we would be like an oppressed people, but we have this like super state, and we know that the rest of the world, because you're all scum, would abuse it. So we have a moral imperative to kind of maintain control over it and maintain our secrecy.
But you just know that if you swapped Wakanda with America and changed nothing about it...
But that's what I'm saying, because they're black. Yeah. That's why they get away with it. It's because, even though in their context, they're not oppressed. They are America, just in Africa, you know.
They are colonizers.
They are colonizers.
Isn't the whole thing with Wakanda is there were like 5 tribes warring?
Yeah.
And then they found vibranium.
Yeah.
And then they all united under the Black Panther.
Something like that.
So they are...
I think that even though it was still annoying a bit, like, the first film had a much clearer... Well, had a much better idea in that, okay, they're this African superpower... And they're not spreading the wealth and the help to black people who are suffering worldwide.
Yeah.
That was something genuinely like, all right.
Yeah.
I know it was still castigating other society, like how America treats black people and all
yeah.
that. But at least it was something. Like, if you did have that kind of country, they would be a failing, a moral failing in not helping, you know. Yeah, this one, it was weird in this one. But by this point, they kind of assume everyone's on side. So, I really don't like Michaela Cole. I really don't like
Which
her.
one's that?
You know, Okoye, the bald woman?
Oh, like
the other one.
The spear one.
Yes, the new one. The one that's not in the first one.
Oh, she has little daggers.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I May Destroy You. That's the woman
right, okay.
of I May Destroy You. I really don't like it, and it's difficult to separate her from her performances.
Okay.
If there was a standout, which there wasn't, it was Angela Bassett.
Yeah.
But everyone was mostly just there.
Well, I think she's from that generation of actors where it's just...
You act.
Yeah. You're in a thing and you turn in a quality performance.
Yeah.
There's no, like, overacting. There's no, she's, like...
Just doing it.
She knows the material and she's doing it.
Okay, so I have a bit of a spiel here, so bear with me.
Okay.
The production design is pretty good.
Yeah.
We can't deny that. However...
Okay.
With its inclusion of Mayan/Central American culture, it concocts a broiling aesthetic melting pot whereby your eyes never settle. And it's good that it's always visually arresting, with the exception of Boston, which I find interesting.
Yes.
But it does verge on the pornographic, and it suggests that each installment will add another hue to the palette, like a Hoover of cultural appropriation.
Right.
I'm not being a narrow-minded whitey, demanding monochrome. It's just like the film is perpetually inviting you to admire it.
Okay.
To admire its design, and the costumes, and the music, rich with region, and the stylistic invention. It's a potpourri. It's a jumbo pan non-Caucasian gumbo. And, like I said, it is accomplished. All the design stuff's accomplished. But that's the tin, not the biscuits, which is a thing that I'm coining here. Okay. That's the tin, not the biscuits. And perversely, the constant optical stimulation renders the whole presentation bland. Yeah. It's less than the sum of its parts. Nevertheless, production design is its core strength. I don't know if there's a whole lot else. No. Do you know what I mean? Looking at, ooh, that's a good costume. Like, it's clearly going for another Oscar for costume design and production design.
Not so much for the Iron Woman one.
No, But you know what I mean? Like, just, those very authentic blend of African and Central American Mayan now. Like, it's all very good. But you do feel like the film is going to, look at the costumes.
Yeah. But I don't know how much of it is, apart from all of the Mayan stuff that's introduced with the underwater people, I don't know how much of it is unique to the first film. Because a lot of those characters on, like, the Wakandan Council, for example, like the guy with the huge plate in his lip, he was in the first one. So I don't know how much of it is... how much this film is bringing to the table in terms of Wakanda at the very least.
Yes, that's why they've kind of added. That's what I mean. It's like a whole other slice of the pie. It's like, we got Central America now. Yeah. So the next one will be like Chinese or something. Though interesting to see how the Chinese and Wakandas get on, or the Koreans and the Wakandas get on.
Oh yeah,
You say your vibranium. You can't drive. I did that in African American accent. Like, you can't drive. There you go.
There you go. Self-critical, yeah. Yeah, we've had to go through the usual stuff. And now the film's come out. It's like, the film's not going to be shown in China because of the LGBT.
I don't know any of that.
Yeah, it's all the usual shit.
Anyway, like, they're famously a fairly racist society. I don't know on a one-to-one level,
they
but certainly
covered up Chadwick Boseman's face on the poster for the original Black Panther film in China because they thought if they genuinely showed like Chadwick Boseman's face, less people would see it.
Why would you? Why would you even have the film? They're all black, except Martin Freeman. So no, we put up with it for Tim from Office.
I watch his comprehensive filmography.
Yeah. I know someone who actually studied Chinese. Like language and culture. She told me, they're incredibly racist.
Right.
Like white people as well. Like they incredibly so.
It's just them, right? In China, I know that over the years, cultures are mixed and whatnot. But for the longest time, it's just
no
Chinese.
Culture. Yeah, there's no real cultural mix. There are different dialects, but like Wu, Cantonese, and all that. But you don't get. It's all Chinese. You know, it's a very insular culture.
Yeah, so you can kind of understand.
Yeah.
But it's all of that. Yeah, it's like, they're not going to show the film in China because they're all black. They're not going to show the film in China because they're all gay. Oh, and then you've got Kevin Feige saying, this is the most important film we've ever made. And it's just like, fucking go away. Yeah.
Well, okay, so the plot, it's very muddled.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily complicated. It's more like impure. Certainly after the first one.
Yeah.
It's quite dull, actually.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know how much of this was fiddled with retroactively. Because I'm assuming that the sequel was commissioned before his death.
It was, yes. I don't know how much work they did on it, though.
No, well, that's the thing. Yeah. Like, how many rewrites did they have to go... Did they film anything? Did they do any concept work that they had to redo?
Well, this kind of feeds into my next point, right? Because the plot, it's way too meandering. It's like someone over there, someone over... You know. I've heard some people say that grief thematically permeates the film. It doesn't.
No.
It has grief in it. And it's the bookend, but it's by no means the central thrust. It's just another ingredient in the soup, in the gumbo. I think foregrounding his death in the film and ending with her accepting his death, it creates the impression, perhaps falsely, that, they kind of started from scratch.
Yeah.
And not necessarily, you could have done a lot of the same things. It's against that Stuart Lee things. Like, at the end, I will repeat the phrase carpet remnant world, and that will create the illusion of structure.
Yes.
And I think there's a similar thing here. You don't feel that through the entire film.
No, and I think it's because T'Challa and Black Panther were synonymous.
Yes.
Like, you thought of one, you thought of the other. So for the Black Panther to still be mentioned throughout the film, but for you to not see the Black Panther, that also creates the impression of, there's an absence.
Yeah.
That we are acknowledging.
Well, frankly, it's very, very eminently forgettable. I'm not going to remember anything about this.
I'm struggling already, yeah.
I'm no major fan of the first one, but you do remember it. Or at least parts of it you remember.
Yeah.
It's much more vivid. I tuned out about halfway through, really, I would say. And especially when it got to the final action sequence, I was just kind of gone.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll give it this. It was surprisingly inoffensive. And that's not something that would contribute to like a star in a rating, but it still serves as a plus in 2022.
Right.
Which is, I wasn't that annoyed by it. There were little tiny bits, but it's like, whatever.
Is that more to do with the general response of it, though? Because I think even people who like the first Black Panther are not pleased
Not
with this.
as enthused. Maybe. No, I don't know. The film itself, like with the first Black Panther, there was that whole thing about, Killmonger's raised in LA, so and like black people are treated a certain way here, and you're the kind of his whole motivation was black people are suffering, and you're not doing anything about it. Fuck you. So that's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything like that in this, really.
And also, this one feels far more entrenched in the mire of just how much fucking Marvel there is.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot more of a traditional Marvel movie.
Obviously, you've got the little introduction to Iron Woman, or whatever she's called, which might develop into something. She might have her own film or something.
Series or something.
I think Namor was mentioned in Endgame.
Okay.
So this has kind of been set up. This has been a long time coming. But
Namor,
like the introduction of like this whole new civilization that are now paired up with Wakanda.
Yeah.
Whether that's the status quo going forward, or whether the next one was going to be about them flying apart, or really does feel like, it feels less pure. Like the first one felt pure because it was about what it was about.
Yeah.
The Marvel
it was much more exciting as well, and the action sequences were better, and it looked better. And, unless I'm mistaken, Namor was the first Marvel character.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh,
he predates Captain America.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think. Namor the Submariner, he was called.
Yeah.
I don't want to denigrate Chadwick Boseman at all.
Okay.
He says. And the first film is fine. Some of it's good. But I do think a lot of these cultural moments are manufactured and insisted upon. The film is so reverent of him that, it holds back the Panther for a very long time.
Oh, you don't get the Black Panther
until the very end.
Until Act 3, yeah.
And I concede that it's not just for me on many levels. It's just not my thing. It doesn't click. That's fine. I think the problem is that if you're not all that into it, there's no getting into it here.
No.
That's the big problem.
Yeah, this isn't going to sell you on Black Panther as a thing, is it?
That's all I got.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had more.
Yeah,
but I also don't know whether it deserves more.
It doesn't.
It's a 2.5 hour film.
Yeah.
Which was a long time.
It's not a milestone in a civil rights struggle. It's not.
But I don't feel like this is being confused for that this time, like the first one was.
No, that's true. It's mediocre.
Yeah.
It's very mediocre at best.
Yeah.
You feel like, to justify the reception to the first one, they've tried to overdo it with the plot, really overdo it and make it long, and intricate, and it's just boring. Yeah, it's really boring. Yeah, but inoffensive philosophically for the most part. So it gets a point for that, if not a star.
Oh, okay, all right.
So there you go. It's not as bad as Thor.
No, it's certainly not. Where would you rank it?
This year. The fact you can rank them on by year now.
Yeah.
What's this year then? We've got Thor, Love and Thunder, Doctor Strange.
This and the rest have been TV shows. I think those are the only 3 films.
Okay, from the films.
Thor is the worst, there's no question.
Yeah. Like, if I was doing it as like an essay, this would have to be the best of the 3.
Okay.
But I probably like Doctor Strange the most of the 3, and I really don't like it at all.
No,
but I remember bits about it.
Yeah, I would rewatch that before I'd rewatch this again.
Yes, this was boring. But it's technically better than Doctor Strange. But I think Doctor Strange is probably best of the film-wise. That says something.
Well, that's depressing, isn't it?
So on that note, see you next year, I think.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. Happy Christmas and stuff.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.